Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 2nd, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I have returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies that I live by and guide my virtually every action by. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they are working for me, and they have literally worked for thousands of others based on their own personal levels of effort. Now, with that in mind, on Positive Perceptions today, we are going to literally take a look at stress. How do you cope with it? Is it actually a dangerous little thing? What are the health concerns of stress? From my standpoint, understand that I am no medical doctor. Okay. So, that being said, before I get any further into it, what do we got here? We have Storm and Shadow in the room with the gold. Storm, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Christine is in with the silver. LA Moon, how you doing? Glad you could make it. And you are in with the bronze. Now, with this in mind, my last week has been a nightmare, which is exactly why my last couple months have been a nightmare, which is why I decided to tangle with this particular topic. Okay, now, and what do we got here? There we go. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. The short answer is the reason I've been out of commission for the last week actually has nothing to do with my heart per se. Okay, heart-wise, I'm fine. But the short answer to how this all went down was I've told people quite consistently that I don't travel well, I don't handle change well, the whole 9 yards. In spite of this, as I said, I started talking about it last year. I was planning on being at the Spaced Out event in Reno in a few months here. Now, that's where this whole mess started. And I do not blame anybody for it. Somehow, and maybe somebody understands how I came up with this answer, but somehow before I got the coding and what have you from Dave, and for that matter, from a few others of you, I was under the understanding that the event was going to be held at the Golden Nugget. Okay, so I booked it. I went there, and there was a lot of nightmare going on there. Okay, when I booked it in the first place, but I finally got it booked to be at the Golden Nugget. So I announced this on Facebook, and I went to bed. Well, imagine my shock when I get up in the morning, and a number of people have said, "No, we are not talking. We're not talking the Golden Nugget. You mean this Silver Dynasty?" I went, "No." I'm thinking to myself, "No," but I noticed a few people mentioned this, and then I got to look at the code that Dave actually sent me. Sadly, came in a little late for my well-being, but then it was like, okay, now I've got to turn around and get it changed. With that in mind, I tried changing it myself, ran into a number of problems. Technology and I don't get along. It's just that simple. But with the efforts of my own son, and quite frankly, guys, and I don't usually do this, okay, but quite literally in this case, I'm going to put it this way. But Frank and Lynanne, who are both in the room right now, okay, who at least I assume they're both in the room. Frank and Lynanne were instrumental in helping get things organized to get everything swapped over. So I will be at the Silver Legacy for the Reno event. It's all been put in place. Okay, unfortunately, that kind of stress corkscrewed my entire system, and I spent a week without being able to walk. Okay. And I'm not going into the medical side. I corkscrewed my spine. I could not get out of bed properly for almost a week. It was the first time I've spent any time in front of the computer. Now, this has brought a number of things into alignment. Okay. One of the biggest things that has come to light is this neat little idea. This world is moving too fast for people, way too fast for me. You know, I swear I'm better off with an abacus. Although as it turns out, my mathematical brain is not working as well as I'd like. So I am redesigning things. I'm slowing down my entire office setup. I'm not stopping anything per se, just downshifting. Now, this said, I will be in Reno, but at the same time, I've slowed down my whole system here, because here's what stress does. Okay, when stress gets into your system, it shuts your metabolic rate down. And in my case, the muscles tensed everything. Didn't actually cause a heart attack. Kind of a neat little difference from my end, anyway. But let me ask you this, guys. Who in here actually has gone through severe stress in your life? And it's probably a shorter list of you as to who hasn't. Okay, now stress is not something that you can say, oh, that isn't something to cause stress. It may be something that does not cause stress to you. And I see we're going to have lag time here. That's always fun. So we're going to carry on with it and just hope it doesn't lag too bad. But with that in mind, okay, here's the thing. Stress will affect everybody differently. Now, I've taken the time. Well, I had to take the time. I had no choice. I couldn't sit in front of the computer. Before I somehow I don't think so. But yes, yeah, LA's just going good stress, bad stress. The body handles them nearly alike. Well, in my case, I would rather suffer from good stress. I've had both. Now, for me, it really boils down to this. I have now, if you know me, like, and I don't mean just what you see here. It is kind of ironic in a lot of ways that the two major forces I have in motion are Positive Perspectives, which is a newsletter, a free newsletter that goes out monthly and literally only focuses on positive events. There are some things in it that are negative. Okay, but when I'm talking about negative, here's one of the, and I'm paraphrasing. Okay, in the newsletter, it will eventually become a magazine as soon as I can figure out how to quantify it as one. But there's one statement I make, and I'm going to parry. As a matter of fact, do I have it on my bed? Maybe. Where are we? Yes, my place is an absolute disaster right now, but this is why I need it. Needless to say, with stress going sideways, my temperature right now is off the freaking charts. Yeah, that was close. But here's what. Now, this is literally this was the first newsletter I put out in July of last year. But the reason I dug it out was to make sure that I covered this aspect of it. Okay. This is literally what my bad news section in this newsletter covers. The bad news and crime section. We at Inner Voice Enterprises readily acknowledge bad things do happen in this world. As such, we have chosen to do like so many other periodicals and reporting agencies do, and write an article on bad things that happen around the world. So, as you travel about your life, find another newspaper, magazine, post, newsletter, or news channel or site by which you get disappointed in people and or depressed. That's my bad news section, and that's where it's going to stay. Now, this does not mean bad things don't happen. This does not mean this world is running smoothly. Quite the contrary. But we have a choice. We have a choice to either focus on the bad things that happen, on the wars around the world. Okay. Uh-oh. I think I'm missing people here. LA was in with the bronze shade. You are in with honorable mention. How you doing? Now, like positive perspectives, positive perceptions, as in this news stream, we are not dealing with a lot of the negative stuff. And some of the topics I will deal with in the newsletter will not be dealt with here. Okay. The reason being, there are literally thousands of people around the world right now caught up in wars, caught up in conflicts, caught up in struggles, much like myself was, like I myself was. Okay, caught up in financial dilemmas that are putting you close to the edge of the, close to living on the street. Now, I do not have a wide array of close friends. Clearly, I've got more support than I ever dreamed possible in my world, especially growing up under massive bullying. Okay, but I don't have a lot of support. And the reality of my finances, now remember, I mentioned I was going to build an empire. I'm going to build an empire that reaches around the world. And as one nice gentleman out of Australia pointed out one day, and I'm not going to say the name simply because I don't recall exactly who it was. I'm pretty certain, but I don't want to call somebody out that wasn't. But one person out of Australia came out and said, Keith, I'm already getting your newsletter. You're already global. This newsletter, now we've got literally billions, not millions. Well, we got those too, but billions of people around the world that are sitting down listening to so-called spiritual guides, standing in front of congregations, in front of massive groups of people, in front of covens. It doesn't matter. Okay. They're standing there going, the world's going to end. We're all going to die. We've got massive poverty. We've got massive war. There's land shortages, oil shortages. You get the picture. Okay. Now, we could go on down that road. The point being, for everyone out there that is having a war or having a struggle, there is a graduation. There is a celebration. There is a victory. There is a sports team that has won. Yes, sports teams lose. Okay. There are weddings. There are bar mitzvahs. There are celebrations all over the world, far outranking the number of people caught up in the negative. And yet, what have we as a society been taught? Let's focus on the negative. Let's see what's going to kill people. Well, I'll tell you, when stress hit me to the point that I could no longer walk, okay, same thing dawned on me that did when I had my stroke. Now, my stroke in 2018 was caused by bottling things up. Okay, I carried on to try and turn around. You know, I decided I was going to do it my way. Not my way. I was going to do it everybody else's way. And I was going to use the automated systems and try and use technology to actually get down to the event in Reno, because I couldn't make it last year. So I figured this year I'm going to make it. So that said, that went sideways, and I came to the conclusion, no, I've got one company in town here that if I'm just dealing with flights, I will utilize them, because everybody in their company, when I've gone in to get help, has gone, here it is, let's make it as quick and as smooth a transition as we can possibly get. Okay, never had a problem, because I go in, I deal with them in person, and there's no problem. So where it comes to technology, my stress level has just collapsed. I will continue doing this. I've got a lot of really good people in background making certain we don't get intrusions by children who frankly, and I do mean children, who frankly are excessively immature. I am not here to help everybody. Do not get me wrong. I am here to guide everybody that desires to change their life for the better, for the betterment of society on the whole. Okay, that's what I returned for, was to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, yes, I know full well my stepping out of the shadows is going to draw attention. Some of it good, some of it bad. I fully understand this. But as I found out with the collection agencies that I had to deal with, like you guys, I ran into financial problems. Okay, not recently, but I've run into them over the years. Came to the conclusion, phone rings, I can hang up. Okay, I learned enough in my travels to figure out how to do that. Now, what I'm offering to you guys is a different look. Now, there is no way in existence that I'm going to be able to think on only one level. It's not going to happen. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of that. You let your stress level go in, blood pressure goes through the roof. Your heart rate is going to go off the charts, and your body will turn on itself. Now, you don't have to believe me, and again, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I recommend not doing your research firsthand, i.e., don't go having a stroke by bottling your own stresses and your own worries. Bad idea. I've already done that. I can tell you from firsthand. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, absolutely. But I recommend you talk to other people. Don't have one yourself. Okay, now, will I tangle with a lot of different things over the next number of months? You bet. Last week scrambled a whole pile of things. Okay, I did manage to get, in spite of all the problems, I managed to get the February edition of Positive Perspectives out. Okay, it went out before the end of the month. And there's a lot more happening around that. But what we have to realize is when I bottled all of that, it corkscrewed everything. Okay, and quite frankly, just about got me to the point. It didn't cause heart problems, didn't cause a stroke, didn't cause a heart attack, none of it. But let me ask you this: we listen to the world, and I keep hearing this all the time. I got approached today actually by somebody regarding joining a group that has all these neat little ideas and these things that the governments are hiding. Let's be straight about something. Okay, let's be real clear about this. There are all kinds of things that the government isn't telling you, that major corporations aren't telling you, that the pharmaceutical companies aren't telling you, that your own parents aren't telling you, your closest friends aren't telling you. You get the picture. Okay, now, they all have their own reasons. There's a lot I'm not telling you. Okay, and some of it, and like I've said, if you have a question, ask. If I'm not going to tell you, I'll come right out and tell you I'm not doing it. And in all likelihood, I'm not going to tell you why. Okay, but I have my own reasons. As it stands, I am focusing strictly on the positive side of things. Where it comes to positive perspectives and positive perceptions, we are looking at what is going right in this world. Okay, now you have something that's going right in here, in spite of everything that's been going on. The troll attacks, and I mean, realistically, to my way of thinking, they're not trolls. Trolls are a very specific group of people, and they're not into computer hacking. They're not into turning individuals' lives upside down, or groups of people. They are into turning individual lives upside down. Trolls are really neat little critters, okay? But, and much as I'd love to say they're mythological, they're really not. But they are, and they're another issue altogether. Those of you that play Dungeons and Dragons, you'll be happy to know those are based on a real critter, okay, on a real individual. But these immature children that are running around the world, hacking into people's computers, okay, stealing identities, causing problems in live streams. These people are simply children. Now, they are tiny individuals. Okay, in number, they are just little itty things. The massive majority of people, 90 to 95% of the population, okay, are decent people, honestly striving to help other people as best they can, or at the very least, to not be a burden on other people. Now, with that in mind, my hat goes off to those of you that are striving to help people, that are reaching out to say, hey, I see you're having a problem. Okay, I see you're having trouble. Maybe I can give you a hand. Here's something I can do without putting myself in jeopardy. Okay, understand karmic law number one. You must be true to you first. If you've got this drive that says, I'd like to help people, absolutely do. Absolutely do. But do not hang yourself in the process. If helping other people out financially is going to cause a massive problem for you, okay, if it's going to put you behind the eight ball, then all of a sudden you become the burden. And this is not a functional way to act. At least not in my opinion. Okay. And to be clear, before some genius comes up and goes, well, that's just your opinion. Well, of course it's just my opinion. If I'm saying it, it's my opinion. And for all of you that have an opinion of your own, every single one of you is entitled to your opinion. It cannot be wrong. An opinion can be based on inaccurate information, on erroneous conclusions, okay, but it's not the opinion that is wrong. Now, the more you strive to fit in exactly the way society fits, and it says it is, when you're going against your own drives, this is what causes a staggering amount of stress. By the way, for those of you of a religious bend, my understanding of sin is real simple. Sinning is going against your own moral compass. Okay, if you're trying to do something because somebody else says, you don't do this, you're going to hell. I'm telling you, it's a great vacation spot. Hot tubs are a little too hot for my liking, but I tell you, and I've said this before, the deep tissue muscle massages are absolutely to die for. But don't go there if you're not willing to play by their rules. Now, if you're striving to help people, and I'm just going to walk through it one step at a time. I'm going to tick off a few people. I know this. Okay. But I came to the conclusion, biting my tongue caused a stroke 5 years ago. Okay. Letting my stress over technology and my drive to say, hey, I'm going to fit into this world. Okay. I'm going to do things the way this world does them. I'm going to embrace technology and go, okay, we can work with it. Everybody does. It works. No, not going to happen anymore. Okay, because for me, it doesn't work. And trying to explain it, I'll be more than happy if you're in Reno and you want to hear more about why it doesn't work. Ask me. It's that simple. I'm pretty cut and dried. Of course, I'm also pretty blunt. Now, I decided I was going to try and do it that way. And now what I've come to the conclusion of is if I've got to deal with technology for whatever reason, okay, like for instance, I desired to order pizza yesterday. I grabbed the phone, phoned directly, and ordered the pizza. Am I going to go onto another computer and try and track down a menu? Not a snowball's prayer. I'm almost 61 years old, and I finally got the message. I don't have to fit in. Okay. Neither do you. I was asked by one person who knows a number of my past lives. And they looked at me and went, what's this issue? What is so important this time about fitting in. In none of your past lives have you ever fit in before. Why are you doing so now? Why are you struggling so hard to do so now? Okay. And I finally got the message. I don't have to. You don't have to fit in. You do have to follow karmic law or deal with consequences. Now, everybody does have free will, freedom of choice. Okay, you absolutely have both of those. Doesn't matter what you relate to, what you identify as. Doesn't matter your skin color, your health condition, your gender, your age. Doesn't matter any of it. Okay, all of you, God Himself or herself included, has to follow karmic law. You must be true to you first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, those three laws, those you do have to follow or not. But the thing you don't have, you've got free will, you've got free choice. Do what you will. Okay, but here's the kicker to it. You don't have freedom of consequence. Now, the consequence of my trying to do things the way everybody said they can be done is I took myself out of commission for a week. I couldn't even get out of bed. Okay. Not without a long time. I mean, it would take me now. You see where I'm sitting. Okay. That door. Oh, well, you can't really. Yeah, that door right there. That would take me almost 5 minutes to cover just from this and from this chair all the way to that door. Okay. Because I just couldn't walk. So I came to the conclusion that stress kills really fast, okay? And I don't mean the after effect, because there's this neat thing. You can have negative stress, and when the negative is gone, all of a sudden everything settles back into play. And you can be sitting there going, oh, I feel much better now. Absolutely you can. Okay, you can absolutely feel better when it comes down. But why go through it in the first place? Now, just looking here to see what we got going on. Now, I like this. We have 4 people active in the chat room as near as I can count. I might be off by 1 or 2. But this is why I say there's a lot of people that are listening in. And this is why I had to realize. Like, we lost a few subscribers in just the last week. Now, I could get worried about that. We were up last week to 595 at one point. We're down to 593. I think we hit 596. But we're down to 593. Doesn't matter. That still puts us, as you can see, that still puts us with literally a few thousand in the wings listening. And that is the key factor. Well, thank you very much there, Raven. I appreciate that. You know, the reality of it is, it's funny. We can actually, and again, I will give credit to those, I will give credit where credit is due. It was literally about a week ago, I asked for a name to work with to pocket this all together. And LA Moon in the chat room right now is the one that came up with the idea of positive perceptions. Worked out really nicely. So I went with it. Okay. And I'm going to stand here. Well, I'll sit here and tell you. I may get up and stand if my back starts bugging me again. Okay. But I'm not interested in a lot of things. I haven't done a whole lot of political research. I will tell you why. Okay. And I have been approached by a group concerning politics and what have you that I will be talking to. But understand, I have no intention on getting involved in a political party again. Because what I found, I was in politics. In low-grade politics, I was a member of a park society here. And quite frankly, I don't lie well enough to get into it. But every one of you goes through stress. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this that I was cutting things real tight financially. I wasn't down to my last $10,000. I was down to literally less than my last $1,000 in my pocket. Okay, that got turned around, I think 2 days ago. Yeah, 31st, so 2 days ago. It got turned around. I finally have a financial spin where I've got enough money coming in that I don't have to worry about losing my house in the next couple of months, or losing my apartment is more to the point. It finally turned around. With this in mind, I mentioned I'm going to be opening a publishing company. I wasn't kidding. Okay, I was told by the Canadian government, okay, by the provincial government, oh, you don't have a viable option. The publishing I'm going to be focusing on, my company is already set to do it. Okay, I've got a couple of calls I have to make because I want to make sure I can get copywriting done properly. But I am targeting the people. If you have a single poem, a single short story, or a couple of them, and you don't desire to go through all of it, you'd like to get it in print, I've got plans in the making to get these into print. Okay, and it's real simple. If you're interested, talk to me. It will be in the newsletter anyway. And let me see here, because I haven't done something I should have done. Open that up. And we go down here now. We have, who is in here? That's Norman. Yeah, nobody at this point, so that's okay. But if you're interested in getting a poem, a short story published, okay, in print, okay, this is the email. Where is it now? Paste. There. This is the email to contact me at. Okay, and because that's also the email that any of the books that I produce are available to purchase through. That's the one I use for PayPal. But this publishing company is targeting those of you, and just about everybody has a short story, has a poem they've written, something they want to get in print. Okay, I'm working on a few other things at the same time. But I was told by the Canadian government, you don't have a viable business. Okay, why not? That's one group of people, maybe 10,000 strong, if they all had an opinion. The fact of the matter is that, when you look at the world, we have 8 billion people on the planet, roughly. Okay, now 90 to 95% of those people are decent individuals. Okay, which means if you look at the downside, about 800 million problem children. Okay, as compared to 9.2 billion people that are good people. But the massive majority are listening to people telling you that your world is completely scrambled, you're all going to die. I will back that one up. You are all going to die. I'm 61. I'm aiming to get to 137 at least. Yeah, I know. Tall order. Also it's only been done once that I'm aware of. But 25 years ago, I caught wind of an African gentleman that was literally, he was 149 when he finally passed away. I'm not about to let my stress do me in anymore. Okay, I literally live by a simple philosophy. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Now, there are things I will recommend you don't do, but it's up to you. One of the obvious ones is I never recommend people go skydiving. Okay, there was one guy that jumped out, it was documented, that jumped out of an airplane and went skydiving where his parachute candled. And he did it twice and then proved he could do it on demand, as it were. Now, this was one guy out of everybody in the United States, Canada, the world around. One guy jumped out and survived landing softly on the ground from 10,000 feet. Don't believe me? Do your own research. Okay, that one guy says it's possible. Now, I don't recommend it. Of course, I got picked up by a tornado. I don't recommend skydiving at all. But then I can't figure out a good reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft. So when you look at it, if you want to look at negative things, Lord knows there are thousands of periodicals, movies, books, teachings that say, hey, you're all going to die. You don't do exactly what I say, how I say it, you're going to die. Okay. And I'm looking at this going, why are we so caught up in what can kill you on how many different ways can you die? How about trying that really weird concept? How about looking at how are you going to choose to live? Okay. What are you going to do with your life so that you can enjoy what life you've got for however long you're here? You're going to die, get over it. Okay. The question you have to ask, or that is wise to ask, in my opinion, is how are you going to live? That's the big question. Okay. Something just dawned on me. It was weird. It's a very weird thought, but I'm going to go check it out anyway. I have no idea what prompted me to do this, but that's okay. And since it's not there, I don't care. At this point, I lost something the other day, and I can't for the life of me figure out where it went. But you have a very simple choice. Absolutely. Watch all the sports you like. I am not a sports fan. I never did develop that. That doesn't make sports a bad thing. But again, if you're expecting this newsletter to handle sports, you'll love the way that I was quite content with the way I put it. Because there is a sports section. And by the way, the newsletter, this is the original one. It's a little bigger now. But where's the sports section here? Okay. Here we are, the sports section. And again, this is literally the way I wrote it in here. Because like I said, sports are a very big part of many people's lives. Not mine, but many people's. Okay. So here you go. Sports and competitions. Whichever team or individual gets the most points in a competition wins. Individual races and competitions. The car, horse, or runner that crosses the finish line first or fastest will be declared the winner. Whichever individual gets the most points in the competition wins. For a more detailed report, seek out almost any other newspaper, magazine, post, newsletter, or news channel or site. In other words, from my way of looking at it, it's very simple. If you're in a competition and scores are done by 1 point, you only require to beat the other team by 1 point. You don't have to go 15 points overboard. Okay. The trick is, and I know you got told this as a kid, or at least I'm certain most of you did. The idea of getting into sports, of getting into athletics, is to enjoy yourself, to better yourself, to have fun, not to beat the stuffing out of somebody else's ego, or on the flip side, to bolster somebody's ego. If you're hoping I'm going to tell you which team I vote for, I hope for in a game, in a competition, I will tell you it's very, very seldom I have ever missed on a sporting event. I 99% of the time have picked the winner. Not a word of a lie. Okay, because here's how I pick the winner. I look at people and go, the one that gets the most points wins. I just picked the winner. I don't know what the name is. Of course, half the people I meet face to face, I don't know the name of. Okay. And yeah, you can tell me your name. That's the easy part. One of the nice little parts that we can look at here, if you're going to buy in distress, absolutely find all the depressing things that you choose. I will tell you, there's a lot of music out there that tells you, oh, my neighbor shot my best friend's dog and stole my wife away. I mean, there's great songs that'll do that for you. I like the ones that go more to the point of talking about how people help each other. One of the best ones I ever came across was done by the carpenters back in 1973. Yeah, it's a day or two back. Okay. Matter of fact, if you think about it, 1973 is literally 50 years ago, called Up, Up with People. If you haven't heard it, pick it up. Okay, listen to it on YouTube. Look for it where you can. It's one of these songs that goes, look, there's lots of people out there. Pay attention to the people you've ignored. Okay, not everybody living on the street is a bad person or is there because of stupid choices and drug addictions. Okay, I dealt with a child, and it did bother me when I met them. I was working down at the park. Okay, and don't take that the wrong direction. I was dealing with a lot of troubled kids down at the park where the churches weren't even going near them. And to be clear, there were 3 churches within a block of this park. Never once did the parishioners or the pastoral people come down to the park to deal with these kids. So I'm down there, and there was a one child I ran into at 13 years old. Okay. She was 13 years old. She used to, when I first met her, she had nobody to talk to. And somehow she ended up out in my end. She was on a bus. She'd catch a bus, half an hour's ride to get to the park I was at. And I would sit there talking to her. Okay, and I did this for almost a year. And at the end, this was a kid that her father repeatedly did to her what nobody should ever do to anybody. Okay, so she came to me and I talked to her for a while. Why she was talking to me, I don't know. But I sat there and I talked to her and I listened to her and, did what I could. A year later, she comes out to me and I wish I could find the thing, but she hands me, she goes, I've got a gift for you, Keith. Right. Many of the kids down at the park used to call me Grandpa. Okay, now I wasn't really that old, but I've been gray I started going gray when I was 14, when I was 16. Now, this girl comes out to me. What am I? I have there we are. She comes out to me about a year later, and she was coming out twice a week to talk to me. She hands me, she says, I got a gift for you. And she takes this little red pocket knife and puts it in my hand. She drops it in my hand. She goes, Keith, I just want to say thank you. I won't be needing this anymore. Okay, now, I will tell you, family is extremely important to me. And this is why I say, if my family calls, if my 2 boys call, I will deal with them. Everything goes on hold. Okay. Same thing also happens if my other half calls me, because quite frankly, I'm planning on marrying her. But this little kid hands me this thing, and I went, oh. She goes, yeah. She goes, with everything you helped me understand and everything I told Mom is taking me, my brother, and we're leaving my dad. Now, I'm a firm believer, if there is any way to keep a family together, do so. But when that family is destroying the individuals, it's time to walk away. Okay, so from that standpoint, this kid came to me, and I ended up dealing with her. I gave her enough tools, and this is what I'm offering you guys, enough tools to eliminate the stress in your own life. Not to do it my way. My way is my way. And it may not apply to yours, but I will virtually guarantee you're not going to be able to think the way I do because you're not physically built that way. But this little kid got her life back. Okay, I can tell you all sorts of things I've done, that I've gone through in that respect. But what I learned most of all is I don't have to, and you don't have to fit in. You do have to deal with the consequences of your own actions. In this chat room, okay, now I've told people very clearly, I'm a firm believer in God. I'm a firm believer in Jesus Christ, probably more so than most of you. Okay, now there are some of you that are close to it, but the reality of it is this. Okay, people have told me all my life God won't give you more than you can handle. I got news for you. I'm not interested in proving it to anybody. Okay, him included. Matter of fact, I told him that. But in this chat room, it's real simple. We had a problem with what many of you call trolls. Okay, they have been routed out, it would seem. Hopefully to stay that way. Because frankly, I prefer the people that are like most of you, really supportive of each other. Okay, now many of you are absolutely tied to knots over what's going on in your life or in what's going on in the world at large. Many of you are listening to the news that tells you how bad the world is. Let me ask you this. Okay, and by all means, if you like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of the thing. It is time for me to step out of the shadows and quit waiting for the world to wake up. Okay, I've been here a number of times over my past lives, striving to pass on the same message. But here's the difference. Okay, and I got told this as well, that there's apparently many groups working in the shadows, working behind the scenes to change the way things are working. Let's put that in perspective for just half a moment. You're working behind the scenes. Somebody's driving the car. You're sitting in the back seat, in behind the scenes. How much effect are you going to have on the way that car operates? Okay. I know when I was a kid, that didn't work well. I don't know about you guys. How many of you can actually effectively drive from the back seat? Okay. The key here is this. If you're not content with your life, okay, now I went from a very heavily bullied individual, had my own family stepped up and was protecting me a lot. But the majority of my life, because I didn't see the world the same way as everybody else, because I am registered as a legal professional psychic. Okay. Yeah, Storm just throws a wrench in here. Depends on the size of the car. Well, true. I mean, if I recall correctly, Will Chamberlain was, I think, 7'2" and used to drive a VW Bug. He drove from the back seat. Of course, he had his hands on the steering wheel. Now, my brother, on the other hand, couldn't drive a vehicle from the front seat without the extra extensions on the pedals, because he couldn't reach them. Now, with that in mind, you have a choice. You can continue living your life based on what you can't do or based on how bad the world is. Okay. The reality of it is, when we take a look at things, when we take a look at things, the world is in a mess. But who's to blame for it? Are you going to stress out and point at the government and go, you guys are to blame? Or let's put the blame on the elites. Oh, the elites are the people that are the problem. Or is it the religious people? They're all the problem. I got bad news for you. Got a mirror handy? Look in the mirror. There's the root of the problem. Not blaming you for my issues, not blaming you for anybody else's. But I will tell you, if, as I am a firm believer, 90 to 95% of the people are decent people working to make this a better world, okay, working to enjoy, why then are 90 to 95% of the posts who ripped on all the social media, not just the mainstream media? Why are the massive majority who robbed who ripped off who? Hey, here's some embarrassing pictures that these people don't want you seeing. Take a look-see. Okay, if this is the case, if the general population is not to blame, oh, all you do there, woo, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, all you do with the skeletons in your closet, you just, and I can't do it. Just whistle and say, hey, everybody, out of the closet. Okay, I used to have to do that with my kitchen and with the fridge. But I'm throwing out a lot of garbage that I no longer require. Okay. Now, here's a neat little thing. Well, and then the reality there, and like I said, Raven, like Raven says, I've started to avoid the mainstream media and the mainstream news. Stopped all social media. I got told by my own boys, I am extremely reclusive. The fact I'm going to be at the SOR party in Reno is absolutely mind-boggling in a lot of ways. But when we take a look at social media is not a bad thing. Any more than tolerate them much more anymore? Not really. Oh, nice. So the reality of it is this. You have a choice. You can continue blaming everybody else. I quit going, what is... Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And guys, I don't have a lot of people in here that have done this, but that's okay. Not today. But where are we? I need this. This is Nathan's live stream. Absolutely. Give him a listen. Do drop in. Give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Oh, and I do believe I forgot to pop this one in here. This is Storm and Shadows live stream. Okay. And again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Is this sharing of positive information, of constructive information that is going to turn this world around in spite of what's going on? Now, there are a couple of things that I absolutely, where are we here? Oh, absolutely. I will do that there. Just give me half a second there, Lynn. Where are we here? Okay, and where is Shadow and Sun? Okay, this is the link to Shadow and Sun's live stream. And we pop that in there. And again, like I get a kick out of what's on Shadow's live stream because he's got all kinds of gaming stuff. And for those of you that have listened to me before, I'm very much into D&D. This into Dungeons and Dragons. This is why I don't come on stream on Thursdays. Okay. Now, one of the things that, like I said, we can turn and blame anybody you choose. Look in the mirror and ask yourself this. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're posting, whenever you read something negative, pick up 2 other things that are positive and read them. And I don't care. It doesn't matter what they are. You read anything or post anything negative. Read or post 2 things that are positive. This ratio will turn the tide. Okay, it's a sad reality. I used to work in the hospitality industry, and in many ways, I still do. That can absolutely happen. I am working with... Where are we here? Raven. Where, pray tell, is Ravens? There. This is the only one I've got, so I'm hoping this one is. I think this one's still active, but this one here is the link to Raven's Rabbit Hole. So we will paste that in there. And again, give it a listen. If you like what she has to say, give her a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. And this is on now. This is Worlds here. Since I'm on this run right now, we might as well get it dealt with. And we copy that. This is World Bigfoot Radio. Okay, these are all people that I've taken a look at their sites, and like I said, if I didn't agree with them or if I didn't think they had something to offer, I wouldn't be promoting it. This doesn't mean everybody that has a site that I'm going to go, oh, you got a site, let's promote it. Because there are some people that have ideas. I'm sitting there going, are you doing that for a reason? Okay. Now, do I agree with everybody? No. But we have to start looking in the mirror and go, okay, what is going on? What are we doing? What are we buying into? Okay, what are we buying into? Do we blame spirituality? Do we blame the churches or the covens for what they're telling you? You got to remember, all of these people were taught by people before them. And we are talking about thousands of years back. Okay. Now, there are a few topics I won't get into on this stream. I'm not getting into mainstream discussions on major religions, on politics. I'm certainly not getting into primary health issues. Okay. YouTube has its own rules. We're here, therefore we adhere to them. This being said, I have no qualms about talking to people directly. Okay. No qualms about it at all. And I will give you an honest answer. The one drawback there is you may not like the answer. But if you're looking to blame somebody else for the state of the world, okay, now I will admit I'm going to get a whole lot of boo, you did that wrong, you picked the wrong horse. I will fully admit to my own miscalculations. And I just said I'm not going to go into politics. I'm not going to go into main discussions of it. Okay, Trudeau, who happens to be in office, I did vote for him. Okay, I absolutely did when he first got into office. Will I ever vote for him again? Not a snowball's prayer. Okay, I gave him a shot. Now, there's a lot of reasons I did. Okay, much like many of you voted for Trump, and now a lot of you are really upset with him. It doesn't matter. Okay, it really doesn't. As the saying goes, it just doesn't matter, and you can pound on the table all you'd like. But the key is you cannot undo the past, no matter how much you'd like to. And the biggest stress I've had is trying to figure out how to fit in. Yeah, LA goes, people who criticize usually don't do something about a problem. They just criticize. And that's the one reason why I encourage everybody in a democratic world, in a democratic society, encourage everybody that is legally able to get your tail feathers off the couch and vote. Okay. Absolutely, I will tell you that. But the reason I tell you that is this. If you vote and you make a mistake, like in my eyes I did, okay, at the time it was the right one. Will I ever go down that road again? No. But if you don't vote, then you really have no foot to stand on to go, I don't like what the government's doing. Okay. Well, if you're not going to get off your tail feathers and do something about it, and bear in mind, okay, you've got to realize that when we are taking a look at the world, if you're going to criticize what's going on, find a way to do something. I took a look at mainstream media and went, I'm no longer happy with the way my world is. Okay. I'm just not happy with it all. So I started putting a newsletter together. Not mainstream media. Eventually, with a little bit of luck and with your guys' help, it will be mainstream. But for the moment, it's not. Where is my Wombox? Over there. As you can see, I don't move as fast as I'd like. Well, you may not be able to tell that. Maybe you think that I like walking around slowly. But the reality is I used to move a whole lot faster, as in just last week. But when I look at my Wombox here, we have 52 and 3 is... I've got a subscription base right now for the newsletter of 55 people. Okay, that's it. But if people only, and this is where I call on you guys, okay, there are 593 subscribers now in this room, okay. If all of you simply passed on word that this newsletter is available for free, okay, get them to drop me a line at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca, and I will put you on the subscription list. Okay, never will I charge for it, and never is a long time, but that's because I don't agree with it. I figure I use it for advertising, absolutely, but I'm not going to put what war is taking precedence. Here's a war I will tangle with. How about the war of the waistline? And here's a great way to drop weight. I am no medical doctor, but it worked for me. Put less calories into your body than you're burning, you'll drop weight. Now, absolutely talk to a nutritionist about which foods are healthier. Absolutely do. But the basic principle, you put less food in your body, less calories in than you're burning, you're going to drop weight. You spend less money than you're earning, and you will grow your bank account. Okay, and this is literally why I built these 3 books. Okay, all of them that's 3 books there. Okay, each one a whopping $20. But the reality of it is, this one, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, that's the backbone of how I took my life from an absolute depressed shambles to what I am now. Now, there's a whole lot of things that happen. Okay, then you've got this one, Believe in Your Business. Okay, I have literally helped, if you take a look at my numbers, well over, let's see, it'd be 150, about 50,000 different businesses that I have given guidance to on how to straighten their own individual life out. Okay, and then we have Believe in Your Finances. That's how I managed to pull out of a nosedive that took me into less than $1,000 in my bank to live on, and now I'm going to start climbing. And where are we here? We take a look at this little thing. Oh no, that won't be there because I had this one up there already. So I'm going to save some people a whole lot of hassle. This is my email address. This is exactly how you get a hold of me. It's the easiest way. Now, am I perfect? Guarantee not. Okay, but the reality of it is this. You know, the tools I offer now, there are 9 others in this series that I'm working on. Okay, I literally have 8 books in print in various different things. The publishing company I'm building, well, I've got it. I've already got the license to publish. Okay, so I'm now expanding, and there will be more books coming out. Matter of fact, come to think of it, I've got to contact my publisher on. This is Friday, Monday. My publisher should have another book of mine ready to go. Although the book that I just put into print, I'm not selling without go ahead from my 2 brothers. But if you're looking to change your world, okay, stress will do it. I'll tell you, I've seen stress cause ulcers. In my case, it corkscrewed my whole metabolic system. I'm not used to sitting still. Now, to give you an idea, over the last year, I track my sleep. I average 5 hours a night, usually done in 2 or 3 runs. In other words, an hour and a half, 2 hours here. Okay, between midnight and midnight, I sleep about 5 hours, meaning I'm on the go 19 hours of the day on average. Okay, it's been that well, it was that way all last year. And it's shaping up to be the same way this year. So, with that in mind, people say, oh, you need more sleep. You got to have 8 hours. I figured it out. I was bored. And I went, okay, most people say you got to get 8 hours of sleep. It's a cute thought. But I figured, okay, what happens if you don't lose your level of health? If you don't lose life quality, what happens if you cut your sleep to 4 hours? And don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Okay, turn around and do it. I calculated it out based on only getting 4 hours of sleep a night. Over the course of a year, you will gain a full month and a half of living time. Okay, think how much more you can get accomplished if you don't buy into the stress, if you don't lose your health. Okay, think how much more fun time you've got to do the fun things in life. Maybe you're a tennis enthusiast. Okay, what happens if you manage to bring your health up to the point you've got the energy to get up and go? Maybe you do like partying all night. What happens if you can bring your stress level down so you're able to party for 3 hours longer a night and not suffer the ill effects? Okay, before anybody jumps on that little bandwagon, I was an alcoholic and a drug addict. Okay, I used to kill a 26er a night. Okay, or what some people call a fifth a night. Okay, along with a minimum of 6 lines of cocaine. We're just not going to talk about the amount of marijuana and beer I went through because I have no way of calculating it. Calculating it. That was good English. Anyway, okay, with that in mind, and this is why LA says I require at least 6 hours, but I function best with 8. And that being said, I got no problem with that. Okay, I just find after 6 I'm groggy. Okay, but that's my system. This does not make it right. It just makes it mine. Okay, and I am going to be like I've got to work out a time frame to do it. I've got one more trip this year that I'm intending on making. But if I plan it right, I will likely be on the road for 2 weeks. Okay. One of that will be heading for Texas. The other one, I'm hoping I may well end up in Utah for a week. But we'll figure that out. Okay. Right now, that's just in the planning stages. Now, you have a choice. You can continue living your life the way you like it, that you're doing it. Not my call. And if you really think about it, much as I can give you all the tools I've got, the best tools in the world, which, by the way, are not necessarily mine, won't do you a bit of good if you don't pick them up. Okay, but I implore you, quit looking to the social media, quit looking to the mainstream religions, any of the even the fringe, what they call fringe religions. I know some of you are going to get a bang out of this. They call paganism a fringe religion. For crying in a water bucket, the thing was around way before mainstream religion got anywhere. And it is still all over the place. Now, on the point of unified religions, get this. Paganism, they have multiple different streams of it. All gets lumped under one roof. But they do not claim to be a unified religion. Okay, aside from they're not mainstream. That's about the entirety of their unity. Now, the Christian religion, and again, do not take my word for it. I looked it up on the internet, weird place to find anything. Okay, according to them, according to the internet, and do not take my word for it. Okay, do your own research. 45,000 were denominations around the world of a unified Christian religion. Okay, the Jewish religion has 3 denominations. I think it's the Muslim religion has 2. Okay, and the Christians are the ones claiming to tout that they are unified. Bad news for you. Now, I'm not going into a great diatribe on religion. Not a prayer. Okay, somebody wants me to go into that. Somebody out there that has a YouTube channel where you desire to talk about religion, absolutely bring me on board. I'll more than happily do it on your stream, not on mine. Okay, I also don't get into the discussions here on that side. Okay, that's just the reality of it. I also don't go into political maneuvering. Okay, the only politics I'm interested in, okay, is the natural ones. Okay, taken out of Latin. Politics. Many blood-sucking insects. Okay, and those politics I got no problem with. But it does kind of strike me as kind of an interesting term. When you kind of start looking at politics and politicians, look what they're up to. Ask yourself, are they working for the benefit? The park society I used to work for, the park was donated by people in the community with one rule. We're going to donate it to the city on the condition that it never, now that word's pretty cut and dried, never gets sold to the city and remains a community park. While the last year I was with them, there was a push to sell it to the city. Okay. And when I got told I was going to get all the backing, like I get told by you guys, don't shut the stream down. So I haven't. And rest assured, I've come close a few times. But I got told the same thing with the Park Society. Stay with it, stay and give us a hand. We'll back you. Run for office, we'll back you. I had one person out of the entire Park Society that voted for me. I said, enough is enough. I'm not watching this happen. Because the vote that got me pushed out was literally an illegal vote. I'm not getting into that side of it. But this is why I say I've had my run-in with politics. Therefore, the odds of my actually getting back into it, pretty slim. Am I going to discuss it here? No. I will discuss this, though. You don't like your life the way it is. I can literally, and I know this sounds absolutely egocentric, I can absolutely tell you there are a couple of really simple ways of dealing with it. And the first one is get off your tail feathers. For those of you that actually are working in the metaphysical field or are even interested in it, if you're feeling really stressed, take your hand, either one, okay, put it palm down on something solid that usually sits on the floor, okay, a heavy recliner, a heavy table, a couch, the wall itself, or a counter. Put your hand against it, palm down, feel the excess energy run out of your hand, much like water out of a faucet. You will feel, in all likelihood, that you get a little heavier, okay, but it's a way of bleeding off the excess energy, okay, that you're up due to stress, due to reading this stuff about, who robbed who, what bank, all the government's is trying to write us all they're trying to rough ride us into a controlled society. Okay, I'm telling you, you take a look in any city of 100,000 people, you may have 10,000 working for the government directly. Now, let me ask you this. I'm not good at math. I've already stated that. You got 100,000 people, 10,000 run the government. There's 90,000 of you that don't. So where's the power in the system? Is it with the government? Is it with the corporations? Is it with the mainstream media? Okay. Is it with the mainstream religion? Or are you sitting on your tail feathers and doing absolutely jack about the world that your life is going through? Okay. I get stressed out. I've got a few key people that I will turn to and go, I've got a problem. This is what it is. Can you give me a hand with it? Because nobody can do it all. Okay. I mean, let's face it. God went and created the entirety of existence. And what did he do instead of controlling it all? Okay. And, people say, oh, God he's a loving God. He's a vengeful God. He's a vindictive God. I don't worship people that are vindictive. I don't even talk to them most of the time. But what did he do? He went, okay, I've got you all built. I set all this system up. Now, you have free choice. You have free will. Go and make the most of it. Why sit there and blame him? Why sit there and blame the government if it's a democratic government, okay, and you feel they're doing a bad job? Turning over a government, turning over a corporation, stupid move. I'll tell you that right now. And I think in the States it's banned, and I might be mistaken on this. Okay, but in the States, I believe they have banned a book called by, I think it was Orson Welles, called Animal Farm. I think it's been banned in the States. If you can get a copy, read it. It tells a beautiful job of explaining what happens in a governmental overthrow. Waste of time, because the people that are replacing it have been taught the same way. Now, am I going to teach you the same as everybody else? No, I'm going to go, quite seriously, I'm going to go, here's the information I've got. Here's what I know it can do. Do what you will with it. Okay, but take responsibility for your own actions. You don't like your life the way it is. Stress, I have found, almost unilaterally comes by trying to do everything the way other people say you should do it. Okay, people, like I was told as I get older, my eyes are going to get worse. Okay, and granted, the last couple of months they have gotten worse. But I also used to be colorblind, and originally, if I held my glasses that close, I couldn't physically see my glasses. Okay, 90% of the time I don't wear glasses now, except to work on the computer or to drive. And trust me, it's best if I put my glasses on to drive. Although far more exciting for the other people if I don't. The other thing that I've found with stress a lot of the time is trying to keep up with the way that the world is running. Trying to keep up at that pace isn't working. Okay, prime example, when I went to book my trip down to Reno, okay, my parents used to run a motel themselves. And when they had an event in the area, they'd grab their book. You'd walk into the counter, they go, is there an event? And whoever was on desk would grab the book, open it up and go, yep, there's when the event is. Do we have rooms? Yep, there it is. Book it, done. You can spend an hour on the phone now trying to book something with an automated system, talking to people in a different country. Okay, I got nothing against people in different countries. Okay, as my dad used to say, this would be a real boring world if we were all the same. But technology was supposed to make this world better. Okay, and I will tell you, without technology, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Okay, and maybe that's a good thing in some people's eyes. Now, when it comes to the stress side of things, I was looking at it going, I see so many things wrong with this world. So many things that are gone straight sideways. Okay. And I'm going, how do we actually correct this problem? Well, the way we correct this problem is by getting off our tail feathers and starting to work with it. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Okay. Because this is coming into play literally the middle of this month. I've got some work to do today. Actually, within the week here. What is it now? Today is the 2nd, so I've got 2 weeks to get this done. But I developed something now. Let me ask you this: who here knows what the number one, bar none, method of advertising is? Bar none around the world. There's one method that comes out on top. Okay. You desire your life to change. It's time to learn how. Okay. And obviously, if you're talking to people and your life still isn't changing, you're talking to the wrong people. They haven't done it. talk to somebody that has done it successfully. Okay, I grew up extremely depressed, never suicidal, at least not intentionally, a little dense on occasion. Grew up fighting finances my entire life. Finally, at 61 years old, I'm no longer fighting depression. I gave in totally. No, that's not right. I'm no longer fighting depression. I know what I'm up to. I know where the holdups are that I have to deal with. Finances, I was down to less than $1,000, okay, in my bank, and turned it around. I now have, thanks to the help of some very select people with a lot more patience to deal with other issues than I've got. And now I have an income whereby I can get my feet back on the ground. And from here on out, my finances are going to continue to climb. Where did I put it? I think it's this book here. Try and look at something here. Now, because it came in right at the end of the month, right at the end of January, like I said, I went back, at least temporarily, to paper. Okay. Because I all of a sudden got an influx, okay, I literally, and this is too much information, some people will say, but one of the biggest mistakes that people make, as we're growing up, parents are told, don't talk to your kids about your family finances. They don't need the stress. Here's a brilliant idea, because it was done to me. Okay, don't talk to your kids about finances. Don't talk to the people around you about finances, because it stresses them out. So how about you don't? And then let them figure it out after they get out on their own. Like, there's a real boost to the emotions. Now, this is literally current. This was January. And I went on the 30th of January, I had $893 in my bank. Okay, because we finally made a change to it, I ended up at this point with $3,200 in it. Okay. Now that was on the 31st. My rent's been paid, so needless to say, I don't have that. But when you look at your finances, I've been almost on the road, on the street. Bankrupt twice, I've been there. If you're going to change your life, talk to somebody that's done it. Okay. I have literally taken a look, and I am not a medical doctor. I pulled with energy work. And by the way, energy work, for anybody you're talking to, any energy work you're talking to, if they tell you they have to physically touch you, it's not energy work. Energy work, the closest you have to get is a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. That's the closest. Now, you can see the energy, you can feel the energy yourself. Okay. And again, yes, does this apply to stress? Well, it does, but here's the other kicker. This is Friday, and I prefer working on the paranormal on Fridays. I am doing my best to get organized. The last week was just a shambles. Well, my last couple of months have been. Okay. And if you've been watching the stream, it's been a little sporadic. That's because I let things get to me. But take your hands, put them palms towards each other, about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch apart. You'll feel something between your hands. Now, you may call it pressure, you may call it pressure, you may call it heat, you may call it bubbles, which is why I had somebody describe it as. Oh, that's entertaining. You can call it what you will, but that is the energy that I refer to as 0-point energy. Nathan on his show refers to it as quantum. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, LA, but then, LA is going, I talked to my kid and I actively taught him finances, grocery shopping, menu planning, laundry and cleaning skills. This is something that is not taught anymore, okay, on the whole. And then people wonder why the world is all in shambles. It's because we did nothing. And I'm the first one to admit, my generation scrambled the education system badly, or more to the point, we finished the job. Well, no, we got it and gave it a good boost. Okay, but now is the time to turn it around. If your life is not going the way you desire it to, I will answer any questions I can. Now, in the newsletter, on the live stream, I will do it for free. Okay, if you're looking for one-on-one, and I am building courses and what have you, courses I'm working out, books that I've got, they cost money. But here's the kicker. Well, if it's a natural skill, why don't you do it for free? Why don't you do it all for free? I don't know about you, but I like keeping a roof over my head. And oddly enough, that doesn't come for nothing. Now, I've spent in the medical physical field, okay, in the metaphysical field. So much for English. I have spent 47 years. Okay. Yes, I started when I was young. Okay. If we count the time I've spent in the metaphysical field over my lifetimes, we are looking at several billion. Okay. Now, I've been back to this world a number of times regarding past lives to do exactly the same thing. Okay. But if we do not teach the people that are coming up how to handle things, okay, we're going to leave this world in a much bigger mess. Now, there's an old saying that goes, man is not judged by the height to which he has climbed, so much as by the depth from which he has ascended. Okay, now my life has been a shambles, okay, in my eyes. Whose fault was that? Well, frankly, that'd be mine. I'm not going to blame you guys. As a matter of fact, I will give absolute credit to the majority of you guys for stepping up when I looked at closing the doors on this stream specifically. I had so many people in private come out and go, hey, look, you're helping more than you know. Please don't shut down. Hence, here I am. I've been bugged for 2 years to go to the Spaced Out Radio event down in the States, which I find it entertaining that we're actually going to the States when Spaced Out Radio is up here in Canada. But hey, I don't have a problem with it. I'm going. I'm booked. I'll be there. Okay. Anything that is not going well in your life, there is a way to change it. Now, one of the biggest things that I found is a great stress reducer, as it were. Okay. There are some meditations I learned, and I'm looking for something here. I know I turned away because I was looking for. Of course, I don't have it. As you can tell, I'm not walking as fast as I'd like to be. There we go. Knew I had it somewhere. Should have had this in the first place, but, things go the way they do. I'm a very firm believer that putting a list together, you put a list together of the things you've got to get accomplished. Break them down into 15-minute to half-hour tasks. In this way, you can see what your list is. You can check it off. I don't expect you to read this. Okay, my list runs all the way down to here. Okay, the check off, I've only got the first few here. I've got about a third of them done. But I'm still going to be working on a bunch more. But by getting a list together, you can see the way you're changing. Preacher, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We have a lot to discuss about that now, about what we were talking about the other day. That was great getting reconnecting with you. Now, that list, by putting a list together, if you got a massive job, Okay, and I actually describe this in detail. Like I said, this is the backbone. Okay, this particular book, I explain in detail one very simple fact. If you're trying to do a big job, if you break it down into smaller sections, you can see you're making headway. Making headway in changing your life is literally how you're going to break the depression. Okay, how you're going to break that issue of, I don't feel like I'm getting anything accomplished. Physical, quantifiable proof will do that for you. In addition to that, find the fastest dance-paced music you can track down. Crank it as high as socially acceptable, and then let it run in the background. Another tool that works like an absolute charm. And the third key to that is literally, and many people have seen this because I've shown it on most of my shows. Okay, those 4 words. I am worth it. Get them on your fridge. Okay, those 4 words are the best combination of 4 words in any language I've ever come across regarding bolstering self-esteem, self-worth, self-motivation. Okay, any number of the self things. Okay, self-denial is another nice one. I am worth it doesn't work on self-denial. I am unworthy is a good way of shooting yourself in the foot. Don't go there. There's a couple other ways. Okay, and there's some people in this room that can tell you which guns work better, but that's a little black. Now, one of the big things that we have to look at, okay, is if you're fighting depression because of what you've been going through, it's time for you to get up and do something. And in case you hadn't noticed, and I know somebody's going to get upset about this, sitting down and thinking wonderful positive thoughts and, thinking about popcorn and chewing gum and peanuts, it doesn't make your life better. Getting off your tail feathers will. Getting the clutter in your house cleared up will free up the energy and will improve your energy levels. Net result, you'll feel better. Don't take my word for it. If you're feeling really lethargic and you live in a cluttered environment, clear some of the clutter out of the way. Give it a shot. Don't tell people, oh, it won't work, or it won't work for me. Whether you believe it will work or you believe it won't, in either event, you're likely to prove yourself accurate. Now, I no longer have a desire to deal with the pain, to deal with the stress. So I finally came to the conclusion, I don't have to do it on my own. There are people out there, many of you in this chat room, that have stepped forward and gone, okay, they have turned around. What is going on here? Oh, I have to take a look at that. Many people have stepped up to the plate and said, look, we can do this for you. We're willing to do it for you. That they did not come to me and go, oh, you're doing it wrong. Okay. My brother used to tell my mom, computers are easy. And mom would get frustrated with them. And I finally looked at my mom one day and I said, Mom, Ken's my brother that passed away. And I said, Mom, Ken is right. Computers are simple to work with once you know how. If you don't know how to work with them, okay, they can be an absolute nightmare. Now, I'm here to tell you, I have fought with computers since 1979. Okay, we're looking at 45 years-ish of fighting with computers. I have never got them to work right. And this idea of just a little more patience with them is going to help. I'm not fighting with them for another 45 years. Not going to happen. Call it stubborn, call it a stick in the mud, call it what you will. Okay, technology, if it's not making your life better, by contrast, it's got one of 3 things it'll do. It'll make your life easier. It'll make your life miserable, or it'll do absolutely nothing for you. Okay. It's either better or worse or not at all. Now, I see the world in that fashion. And what I have come to the conclusion of with the newsletter, first of all, with the newsletter, if you've got an article, if you've got something that you've seen around the world, I don't care where in the world, if it's good news, okay, I desire to pass that on. If it's something that is positive, I don't care if it's like a video that I saw. Now, a video, I'm not putting videos on the newsletter. Okay, not going to happen. But I saw a video one day that showed, and this was good news to me. It showed a black bear fishing a crow out of the water. Now, the black bear didn't eat the crow. The black bear dug the crow out of the water. This is a carnivore pulling prey that was easy to kill right there, pulled it out of the water and set it on the bank and let it dry and fly off. If a carnivore can help its prey out, why, pray tell, can one human not look at another one and go, hey, you're having trouble, here's a hand up, here's a smile, here's a hello. These things don't cost people. Just looking at somebody and smiling at them does not cost anybody anything. Okay, a little effort, but I'm lazy. Now, my research indicates that it takes a whole lot more muscles to frown than it does to smile. Okay. Now, granted, I don't smile a lot either. Okay. But costing it takes less muscles to leave your face blank. But I'm lazy. And the way I look at it, a simple smile to somebody, number one, makes you feel better. Number two, very few people will complain if you smile at them. Okay. And number three, it is the one gift that you can give to everybody, costs you nothing. And it's the only gift I know of that nobody takes offense to if you turn around and give it back to them. Okay. Now, this is a free gift, no cost of expenditure, no real functional effort. And yet so many people spend their life staring at the ground or staring at the cause of the zombie apocalypse, these things. You realize how many people I've seen walking around with a cell phone and they literally walk into traffic. Okay. So I mean, you've got a choice. You can continue living your life the way you desire, that you choose to. You can continue complaining that your life isn't changing. But I'm telling you, if the reality is, if people come to me with an issue on that end, I will give you an honest answer. Most of what I see, and this is going to upset many of the people working in the metaphysical field, especially the ones working in the psychic field. 80 to 85% of all psychic information that is handed back to you is based on either common sense or life experience. 80 to 85% of it. Now, I've made my living at it for the last 23 years. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm taking all of that information, putting it in the newsletter, putting it on the stream, putting it in books, and getting it out. And the reason for it is this. I drop dead all that information, literally centuries of insight. It goes the way of the dodo bird. Okay, and yes, I literally have spent multiple lifetimes coming here, striving to work within the system, striving to point out you just got to be nice to people. It's that simple. Okay, you desire your stress level to drop. Let's try this. You desire your community that you're living in to become less criminally inclined. Get to know your neighbors. And above all else, follow karmic law. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, if you're doing that, clearly, if you don't desire people to rob from you, do yourself a favor and don't rob from them. Okay, when we look at the world, There's all kinds of laws that are put out. But I will tell you, one of the biggest flaws that lawmakers make, and bear in mind, if you're running a household, not only are you running a business, but you're also a politician, a first responder, you're a health specialist, you're a dietitian. There's all kinds of names that you are. Okay. Some of them are repeatable in polite company. At least that's what I got told. Like I got called a lot of things. But when you take a look at the law, at the rules you put in your house, you desire people to follow them. If you desire people to follow the rules in your house, when you go into somebody else's house or business, follow their rules. You don't like the rules, that's no problem, don't go. Okay, here's the kicker to it. Lawmakers have a miscalculation that is being perpetuated and has been perpetuated for literally centuries, where they make a law that does not apply to everybody. Okay, and the problem there is if you make a law that does not apply to everybody, the lawmakers included, you will have a society that breaks apart, that will develop a second culture, or a subculture, if you will. Okay, in modern terms, you've got the internet, you've got the web, and then you've got the dark web, because the society that built the laws on the web did not make them applicable to everybody. Okay, net result, we ended up with a subculture. Problem, when a subculture develops, okay, if the laws don't apply to everybody, that subculture will break again. Now, I'm going to go back to the Christian religion on this one. They had the Christian religion. All the rules were supposed to apply to everybody. But as with humans, as with all corporeals that have free will, okay, somebody didn't agree with something and fractured it and made a new denomination. Now, the one that comes to mind for me is Henry VIII, who, as far as I understand it, created the Protestant religion, which is it's a fracture from the Catholic. But that kept on fracturing to the point we now have a unified society with 45,000 denominations. I'm not sure, does this sound unified? The rules that you're making for your house, absolutely, they've got to, enforce them, put them in place, but they've got to follow the laws of the community in which you're living. In simplest terms, I only bring up smoking because it's obvious. In societal terms, if, as in many cities now, you're not allowed to smoke in public, okay, if you're not allowed to smoke in public in that society, okay, if you're not allowed to smoke in the city, then if you have a house, you cannot turn around and go, in my house, you can smoke, because you're breaking the societal law. Conversely, if it is free to smoke, if you're able to smoke anywhere you choose, in your house, you can go, you're not able to smoke in my house. You want to smoke, get out of my house. Okay, I did this in my own home before smoking took an interesting turn. And I told people, in my house, you're not smoking. I don't smoke. Never have. I did do drugs, a lot of them, way more than my fair share. But the stress comes about by trying to do everything that other people are trying to tell you have to do. Now, in case you hadn't noticed, very few people actually do things the same way. Aside from pretty much every human you know, assuming they've got two legs, puts their pants on one leg at a time. There are a few that put on two at a time. There are some people, I watched one guy, it was great. It wasn't a guy, it was a girl. She was a gymnast, and she'd hang her pants up in this little rack that she built, and then I kid you not, she'd walk across the room, and she'd run a fair piece at this stand, and then she'd jump, and not only do a flip, but she'd do a half turn and drop both feet into the pant legs. Now I'm telling you, I can't do that sitting down, never mind running anywhere. but it was a different way of doing it. There are ways of changing things. But where it comes to stress, stress is usually caused by trying to do something or trying to get your body to do something that other people tell you works. Yeah, me either. But trying to do things the way everybody else says, I'm telling you, it doesn't work well. Find a way, and this is why I said, believe in yourself. Whether you believe you can pull something off or you believe you can't, odds are you're going to be right. Now, this does come with a caution on common sense. Okay, you can believe that you can defy gravity. Be my guest. But if you're going to put that to a test, pick a short stool and jump off the stool. If you hit the floor, you didn't fly. But you also didn't break your neck. Okay, at least not unless you did that really dance. Oddly enough, Eric, just something I found out, it wasn't that long ago, but there was a mitigating circumstance. The preacher is literally saying, Martin Luther started the Protestant church. Henry VIII created the Anglican church so he could have a divorce. There was another definitive purpose to Henry's building the Anglican church. Okay. And that was literally because he found out, from my understanding, he found out that when somebody died without a will, all of the land and all of their money went back to the church. So King Henry VIII goes, I'm going to build my own church, and then without changing society, all of the money will come to me. Net result, we end up with churches popping up all over the place. Now we've got churches around the world going, oh, we're all about peace and helping people. And no, for pity's sakes, I know you're poor. Get out of my church. I know you don't believe in exactly what I'm doing, and I know you're ill, but go away. Oh, okay. What is that? The biggest problem we have in today's world is so many people telling you what you should do when they're literally not doing what they're telling you should do. Yeah, no doubt. Preacher just going, yeah, plus he could take land away from the Catholic Church. Makes it always convenient. Again, we are dealing with an interesting situation. I am not a researcher, okay? Most of the stuff that I am talking about, most of it is because I literally remember it, okay? I remember the events of the Roman Empire. I remember events that took place in Egypt, okay? I was having a discussion with someone just the other day, okay? And again, I don't talk about who. If they talk about, that's fine. But I just was talking to somebody the other day, and the two of us got corroborating evidence. Talk about a long-standing friendship. Turns out, like, I've known people from 2,000 years ago. I've known people from the time of the witch hunts. A lot of my modern friends are people that I literally burned at the stake. Okay. But I just recently got corroborating evidence of a friendship that started 15,000 years ago. Okay, in a cute little seaside community by the name of Manoa. Okay, fabulous little community. Very peaceful, very simple, and very wet, at least at the end of it. And of course, I've known people from Atlantis. The thing is, all of this memory is what causes a lot of my indifference in looking at things. It's a lot of why I don't do the research in today's world. Because you got to remember, much of what is written, of what is being propagated through the research people are finding, is ineffectively written. Yeah. LA goes, history is so fascinating, especially when you've been there. stress itself is by trying, and this is why I got kicked out of the person that told me, look, you've never fit in a lifetime prior. Why are you so interested in it now? Okay. So I just finally reached the point when I'm not looking to fit in. I'm looking to turn the lights on and go, it's okay not to fit in. But treat, I don't like the hiccups because they're painful. Treat the people you're dealing with. Treat all people, all things, the way you desire to be treated. Okay. The reality is it doesn't guarantee you'll get treated properly. Okay. But it does stack the deck in your favor. And one of the biggest things that I've found is that every time I've tried to fit in, I run into problems. Okay. Heart attack, wrenching my whole system, just completely screwed things up. Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Nice seeing you back here without all the complications that we were running into a few weeks ago. But the reality of stress is if what you're doing isn't working, continually repeating the same process isn't going to help you a lot. I forget who said it. Okay. But I believe the first person I heard it from was Einstein, who said the best definition for insanity is repeatedly doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Okay. My way of looking at it, I've been doing the same thing for literally, in this lifetime, 55 years. I pulled back and hid from the world and, quite frankly, hid from life. Okay. In order to wait for people to wake up. Finally dawned on me, quite frankly, at the beginning of doing this stream. And that has a lot to do with the people in Spaced Out. Okay. A lot of the people asked me to get started on this. So here I am. And the reality is it's become a life of its own. I do miss days. This is why I say I try and go Friday to Wednesday. Okay. But it doesn't always work. My health is not perfect. Usually because of something that I did stupidly, but what the heck. The reality of it is, where am I here? Oh, okay. We are winding down, obviously. Now, I'm actually really surprised I managed to stay put this long. Yeah, I've had that happen way too often there, Preacher. I've got a couple of things that Preacher's just saying he had to restart his computer. It locked up. And I can't tell you how many times mine's done that. See, the nice little part about it, when we look at stress, find what's not working in your life. Doesn't matter what it is. Make a minor change. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's early in the morning, isn't it? Yeah, Preacher's just saying Keith and I were Minoans. We knew when we first met years ago, and frankly, I forget exactly how long ago that was. But we figured out that we knew each other, that there was a definitive connection. It wasn't until a conversation just a couple of days ago that it all fell into place. Yeah, and that ultimately, Ferret's going, I have a stressful work situation. Help by being disengaged. I can't make it better. I can just do my job best effort, and the rest is their problem. Ultimately, that is exactly what you have to work with. Okay. Now, with this in mind, I will be back now. Tomorrow is Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow's Saturday. Yeah, tomorrow's Saturday. Okay, I don't know right off the top of my head what we'll be dealing with tomorrow. Oh, yes, I do. The topic tomorrow is going to be focusing on literally self-help. How to take your life step by step, not by doing it my way, not by making your life what I think it should be, but making your life, identifying what your life is, what you would like your life to look like, and focusing on that. And not leaving it any longer to the elites, the spiritual guides. You know, I bill myself as a spiritual guide. And if you choose to listen to me, this is great. I do encourage you to spread word, to let people know that I'm here. Okay, primarily because it doesn't matter how good a tool is. If nobody knows about it, okay, if nobody picks it up, it's not going to do any good. Okay. Moonhawk, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I like the way you put that. Moonhawk's just gone, smash the like button. It will not bite you. I won't argue with you there. Although I do know, I used to work in a bar, and there's a neat little spike in the bar that they used to put the receipts on. You smack that, it causes pain. Okay, now the nice part about this world is going to change. I warned somebody about it a while ago. I told somebody probably 30 years ago now, my world is going to change. You have one of two choices. Either join with me, and I absolutely encourage you to do so. I know just by simple mathematics, if we just start with everybody pitching in, okay, if we just start increasing by a couple of people a month, we can have thousands actually spreading a message that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to bring this to a close because we're hitting the 2-hour mark. I've got another 2 hours I got to be on the air with Spaced Out Radio tonight, you know, with VT Connection. But I will be back. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.